Today we are picking things back up on the 3rd gen Prelude. We're going to be continuing painting everything that is blue plastic inside of this car over to black. And I gotta say, I did do a little bit of painting in between this episode and the last episode. If you guys missed the last episode, I will throw a link up to it up here in the card section. So go check that one out, but I'll catch you guys up real quick on what was done off of the camera. What I ended up doing is this piece here right along the door sill. It was actually 4 different pieces. So you have the longer black piece of plastic, and then you have the small little hook looking thing, as well as the 2 little end caps that go and cover the screws. So about 4 pieces on this side, and then I also went ahead and did the other side, the same little portion here. I also did the sections down here by your feet where the trunk release button is. So that is done on both sides as well. And I think that is it. I did actually change up my process. So those little hooks that we talked about last time, basically I've changed up my process. So I'll show you guys real quick the other items that I'm using to paint the interior of this car. I think I'm getting a little bit better of a result from it. The little pieces, those little clips that go on the sun visor things, they did still peel a tiny little minuscule piece of paint off. So what I'm gonna do is just live with it for now. It does seem to be holding up much better on the flatter panels and just all that stuff. So I think I'm gonna continue this process that I'm about to show you throughout the rest of the Prelude interior paint job. So here's the new items that we've picked up to make this job happen. I'm still using the same rubbing alcohol of microfibers degreaser as I was before, but I've also added this Scotch-Brite pad, which I do in between degreasing and before I do the rubbing alcohol. I will go over the entire piece with this, just rubbing lightly. Acts as sandpaper and scuffs up the material a bit to help the paint stick a little bit better. And the other thing I've started using is this adhesion promoter, also from Duplicolor. The pain is I have to go to 2 different auto parts stores to pick this up because Advanced doesn't carry this one, and I have to go to Advanced to still get the paint. So I just have to make an additional stop, but I found that putting about 3 coats of this on all of the pieces of plastic I'm painting has really helped just hold the paint on much, much better. Today, what I want to accomplish is getting some more of the visual pieces, the pieces that the driver notices, the pieces that I would notice are being black. So I'll show you guys what I'm planning on taking out, and then I may just end up continuing taking out more pieces depending on how far I can get this painted can to last me. I'm gonna start by doing this center piece right around the shift knob. So all this down here, as you can tell, there is already black on it. So what I'm gonna do is either disconnect these 2 pieces, but I think they're actually 1 piece. So I might just have to do a really nice tape job around this and make sure I'm not over painting anything. And I'm gonna probably take out these little guys there, the little squares, as well as the one right back here. And I was also thinking about doing this panel underneath the steering column. So if I can get those pieces done, those 3 big pieces, or I guess 2 big pieces and a bunch of little pieces done, I will be pretty happy with that. Aside from adding those extra couple steps with the Scotch-Brite pad and the adhesion promoter, this process takes me anywhere from 20 minutes to, I guess at most, an hour to do each little panel or section of pieces that I've done. I've also been sticking to that, like I said, 2 to 3 coats of adhesion promoter and about 5, maybe 6 coats of paint, the black dye, actually on the piece until I get full coverage. So it's ranging between like 30 minutes and doing about 5 to 6 coats of color on these things, and I'm getting a pretty good outcome, but I'm going on. So let's jump into pulling out some of these plastic trim pieces, and then we'll get to painting. Every time I take one of these pieces off, I try to disassemble it to the best of my ability. So what I'll probably end up doing is taking off this little mechanism here. Looks like just 2 Phillips heads. I'm gonna take off this little panel here. Again, just 2 Phillips heads right there. And then if I can, well, I know the fuse box, if you just spin that, it should kind of just pop right out, or not fuse box, but that little tray thing there. So now we can get all in here, and I can get this electronic module off just by taking out these 2 Phillips heads. So I'm gonna try and get it down to basically as bare plastic as I possibly can, just what I want to paint, and I will catch up with you guys when we're ready to get to spraying. Okay guys, it's been a little bit, and I'm gonna start on this piece next, which I wanted to get on film because it's gonna involve all the new steps that I was talking about earlier, but it's also going to involve taping up these emergency labels because I do want to keep those read and not ruin that aesthetic to it. But I've started, I'm about 2 coats in on these little itty bitty pieces here, and I just finished up painting, doing my last coat on the center console. I think it's gonna come out pretty good. I was noticing a little bit of striping in it, but I think that was honestly just the lighting, and because I haven't even remotely let it completely dry yet. So the hardest part about this was definitely just masking off that black area up top, as well as the shift boot. I didn't want to get any black paint on that, but overall, guys, definitely looks really good. I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry, but I will show you guys all the steps, or at least on video, I'll capture all the steps that I'm gonna do to basically get that thing turned into black. So let's get it. To start on this piece here, I'm gonna grab my all-purpose cleaner, which I'll use to just get the majority of the gunk off. And I'm just gonna go ahead and really soak this whole thing and try and get in all these crevices and get all that sitting dirt out, all that minuscule stuff that we don't want in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and wipe that off, and then we'll jump to the next step. All finished with the cleaner. I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry, because before I go ahead and mask off these warning labels right here, I want all the water to dry out of these seams, so that way the masking tape sits and sticks really nice. I would love to just take these off and I don't know, paint underneath them, but as you can tell here, they are like pushed through and then they're melted, so that way they kind of just stick to this entire piece of plastic. So I think the best bet to salvage these is just going to be to throw some masking tape on it, do a pretty clean tape job, I guess, and hope for the best. So I'm going to let this sit in the sun for a bit and dry, and then we will mask all of this off. I've just finished cleaning. I've done the alcohol, the degreaser. I've sanded it down so it's nice and flat to the touch. And what I've basically been doing when I go to paint these is I flip them on the side that really isn't ever going to be seen much. So obviously this would be the outside that you would see all the time. I'm going to leave it like this, and whenever I'm laying paint on it, I still hit this backside, especially around the edges. So that way, once it is installed like this, even if you're at a weird angle or something and you were happening to see through an edge, it would still be black and you wouldn't see any of that blue. So like I said, I'm going to do probably a coat or two on this side, wait for that to dry, flip it over, and then I will do all the top coat color on this side. I highly recommend using a high grade, basically masking tape, painter's tape. Usually 3M or Scotch tape is a great alternative. Otherwise you just end up with a not sticking situation and you end up having to put a ton on like this. But it's not going to be the prettiest thing when it's done. I think it'll retain 99% of the red. So I'll go ahead and start spraying this, and I'm about halfway through on this piece, about to start laying some color down. And the remainder of what I was doing today is just drying out in the sun right now. It's about 85, close to 90 degrees out, so it's drying pretty quickly and evenly. And hopefully we can complete the rest of these panels with the last can of black that I have left. All the pieces are complete. There's definitely a little bit more tiger striping, definitely not 100% happy with how these pieces came out today. It's just been extremely windy, so it was kicking up overspray, kicking up dust, and just making it really hard to spray the paint evenly. But I guess we'll see how it dries and hope for the best, but I think it's still way better than the blue, and I'm happy to have these bigger pieces that I'm going to see all the time finally done. So I'll catch up with you guys once they're dry and ready to go back into the Prelude. Also, here's a quick look. I just peeled the tape back off of these warning labels, and you can see just a little bit of the blue peeking through right above the seatbelt, or the word seatbelt. So it's definitely not perfect. I think if I decide to respray all this in the future just to get a better, more even coat, what I'll probably end up doing is actually snapping these labels off, painting what's underneath them, and then afterwards I will probably use some sort of adhesive to put them back on, whether that's like a double-sided sticky tape or possibly something more permanent. But for now, it's black, and I still kept the words. It's readable, so I would say that's a success. Well guys, everything has finished drying, and it did dry quite a bit better than I had anticipated it going to have gone, I guess. Here is a close-up at how all of it turned out. I'm like pretty stoked with it. I mean, it always ends up drying a little bit better, but in certain lights you can, I don't know, I feel like I can see some tiger striping in it. So these pieces, at least the bigger ones here, I'm gonna kind of make mental note of, and possibly down the line, if I have an extra can, I may take these back out and respray them, especially just to kind of clean up right around these, I don't know, seatbelt emergency release location on buckle signs. That was a mouthful. But these things, if I do it differently, I think I can get a more thorough job done. So I may come back to that. Otherwise, for now, it looks pretty good. Definitely better than the blue. And I'm gonna go ahead and get this all put back together. And now we have all of the black pieces put back in. This is how it looks. A little awkward because I haven't done the e-brake boot yet. If you guys know how to take this off, it feels like you can just like pull it off, but it's like either it's glued up here in the handle or something, or it just hasn't been removed and it'll never, I guess. But let me know if you know how to remove that. But otherwise, we got all of this done all the way back to here, minus the e-brake boot. And yeah, we got the centerpiece done here. Again, I didn't get to show you guys earlier, but I got that piece and this piece done the other day. And here's a look at the underside. So again, a bit awkward because I still have to do the fuse box thing right there, but that is definitely much better. And I got little stuff like this black panel here, just covering up a hole. So just one last thing I'll have to do later on when I go remove the entire dash. So guys, with that being said, I'm gonna wrap up this video. I'll have definitely more of these painting videos done. So I'll make a video just when I do the seats, just when I do maybe the floor, the carpeting, the liner, and definitely more as I do like the dash and the other panels. So stay tuned for that, guys. If you enjoyed this one, then just like I said, stay tuned for the next one. I'll have a few more of these painting videos, and give this one a big thumbs up, comments down below, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys next time. Keep elevating and peace out.